Well, if you just watched my last video, you just found out why you, yes, you should submit a session to ILA. And you're at the point where you're kind of worried about how you do that. Well, don't worry. I'm ready to take you through how to fill out a session proposal. And I don't think you're going to find it nearly as scary as you think. And you're going to do such a great job because you've got this. So you've got a great idea of something you want to share. How do you do it? All right. This is the Iowa Library Association website. It's iowalibraryassociation.org. And we are actually going to come under the part about the conference, which is down here. And right here, it's going to give you different things. And one is the call for session proposals. And this is what the form will look like. It's just going to tell you what you are going to need and also when it needs to be done by. And so our call for sessions is going to be ending on April 30th. So you need to get it in by then. So we're going to, and be sure to check the conference dates and make sure that it is actually a time you can attend. I'm going to be using an example today. This is not a session I'm going to be doing at this conference, but it's one I did a couple years ago, and we'll use that so I can just quickly show you how to do it. So we're going to go under Next. And this is going to be just filling out the basic information. So it's going to be called Library Rescue. What John Taffer taught me about libraries. And then contact. My primary email. And all that's perfectly easy stuff. Now, the first thing that comes up that might be a little more, something that might be a little more stressful for you is coming up with biography. I, in fact, keep a list of little biographies I've done, so I can just copy one of those when it comes in again. But this is not where you are trying to convince anything, really. You're just saying a little blurb of who you are. And this particular one isn't overly on target, but it's just a little bit of a thing. This is who I am. This is what I do. And it can be really short. This is actually a variation on what I sign my blog posts with. So now we're back to simple questions. Are others presenting with you? No, this one I'm presenting by myself. But if you are feeling kind of nervous about doing it, it's perfectly fine to have other people talking about it. And you can even ask on a Library Talk to see if there's anybody else interested in talking about this topic. I have definitely done that before and ended up with some really great sessions. So if I'm not going to, if I was going to be doing this section, I would not be doing it with anybody else. So I would say no. And otherwise, it's the people you're going to be presenting with. The basic idea is they just want you, or we just want you to tell us who else is going to be there. Not a big deal. We don't need bios from them, just name and email. So then we've got a couple questions. Now, one of the things that was really great about the 2020 conference was that we were able to let people participate from all over the state online. Now, that just is not going to be possible for the immediate future, at least not that way, because wasn't that a slick system? It was just great. But we're not going to be able to do that. Now, we have done what we called a conference rewind. So we may want to have your session available digitally. Now, do you have to do that? No. So it's going to say, can you present virtually? Can it be a recorded session? So that's one option. Can you present virtually, but only live? So there wouldn't be anything recorded, but you could just be presenting online, not having to be there in person, or you only want to present this in person. And there are definitely programs I give that I, wouldn't want to be recorded. So any of those are fine answers and have nothing to do about whether your session gets chosen or not. So we are going to say that I only want to present this in person. And then we're going to say next. And you want to describe your session in one sentence. Now, this is for people who are scanning through. And it also is coming up with sort of the main idea of your session. If you can't come up with what the main idea of your session is, you probably don't really have a session. So this is just summing it up, like you were scanning through something. And this is my sentence, and I want to put that here. And that's kind of a long sentence. You can do a shorter one. What are your predicted learning outcomes? This next bit is the learning objectives. Now, if you're not a teacher, that might be one of the most intimidating parts. But the whole point of this is that you have to tell the people at the state why it's worth giving someone a continuing ed credit for joining your session. What are they going to learn? What are they going to get out of it? Teachers have a set little phrase that we like to use at the beginning. Student will be able to. So, attendees will be able to, after they attend your program, attendees will be able to list off 10 new books that just came out. Attendees will be able to come up with some check for their reading. Attendees will be able to know 3 different things you can do to work with a particular organization. So it doesn't have to be anything too great. Nobody's expecting a Shakespearean sonnet. It's just supposed to be something that people will learn from attending your session. And so here are my 2 goals. And again, remember, this is just so that they can say this is worth getting CEU credits. So go ahead. It says in mine, attendees will be able to, that's that phrase I just mentioned, to analyze their libraries to make them more welcoming. And attendees will be able to identify 3 ways to help increase foot traffic. And then you're going to say, who is this best aimed at? And I'm going to say that this is going to be aimed at marketing and research, and library processes and services. And I'm going to say the primary audience, it really could be anybody. So I'm going to say public libraries and academic libraries, just to say something. And then we're going to do next. And it's going to be, is this proposal for a pre-conference session, a breakout session, or can it be adapted to both? If you haven't been to the conference before, on the Wednesday before conference starts, they have longer things where you can take a tour or do a hand-on thing, go through an actual activity, things like that. A breakout session is just the normal sessions you attend during conference. And sometimes people want to know, to fill out the schedule, we may have more need of one or another. So if you're willing to do either, you have a better shot at being selected. I am actually just going to do a breakout section here. And that is a very important thing. And I'm going to hit submit. And with that, that's going to give you a how to fill it out. It is very simple. It isn't anything you should be worried about. It's just basic information they need to know whether you're going to do it or not. And like I mentioned before, if you aren't selected this time, don't really worry about it. It will be fine. You might get selected next time. And remember, you have something interesting to tell us. So it's time to do it. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, brighten the corner where you are.